Hello, welcome to our channel, and in this lecture, that is lecture 4, we are going to discuss about the diversity in the living world. Okay, in this topic we are going to focus on few important topics like scientific names, importance of binomial nomenclature, universal rules of nomenclature, classification, taxonomy and systematics. Okay, before we begin our lesson, you can subscribe to our channel, like, share and comment. Okay, now let us start about our discussion, that is the diversity in the living world. So what is meant by diverse or diverse? Diverse means the huge variations in the organisms. So different types of the organisms are there, different species of the organisms are there in this planet. This is known as diversity. Okay, before we discuss, let us discuss a small sentence about it. So the large variety of living organisms are present around us. Okay, whether it may be dog or bacteria or sheep, goat or whatever it may be, there are different and variety of living organisms present around us. Okay, example, whether it may be plants, okay, and animals, microorganisms, etc. These all are the a variety of organisms, that are going to live around us, that is known as diversity or diverse. Okay, so the main important topic is the biodiversity, the main important word. Okay, biodiversity. So what is biodiversity? The biodiversity means the number and type of species that are known along with their described range. It means these organisms that are present in the nature, we know about them. Okay, we know about them, about their description and so on. So that is known as the biodiversity, and different organisms are going to live in the planet. Okay, their interactions and relation with the environment and so on, that is known as biodiversity. Okay, so their number range is around 1.7 to 1.8 millions. Okay, but this number is not constant. Why? Because the new organisms are continuously identified. So this is only the reason this number is not constant. Okay, all the time the scientists are able to able to find new organisms in the forest and so on. Okay, each and every organism has a local name. So local name means that the name that is given to the particular organism or particular animal, so in their own local language, that is known as local names. For example, Hindi names or Telugu names or Marathi or whatever it may be, these names are known as local names. And next is scientific name. The scientific name is this the name given by the scientist based upon the scientific nomenclature rules, so that the scientific name is known across all the world. Okay, that is known as scientific names. For example, if you take the mango, okay, the mango is called in the local language with different names. Okay, so if you go and ask in the other countries, in the foreign countries about the mango, they are unable to know about it. Okay, but the scientists in other foreign countries, if you ask them in their scientific names, they completely know about the particular mango or particular organism. So these scientific names is used for the prevention of the confusion among different scientists in the across the world about the particular organism. This is the importance of a scientific name. This is universal. Okay, the scientific name is the universal. Each and every scientist can understand about the name of the particular organism. Okay, but the local names are useful to call in the local regions only, but not out of the states or out of the countries. Okay, these scientific names are given to the organisms to standardize the naming of living organisms. So there are certain rules. These certain rules are followed to name the organism. For example, if you find or if you discover a new organism, you have to follow some rules given by the nomenclature by the ICBN or ICZN. So based upon the rules given by the ICBN or ICZN, you have to give the name to the particular organism. You cannot give the name as you wish. Okay, you have to follow certain rules, okay, given by the ICBN or ICZN, okay, to standardize the naming of the living organism. Just this is because these rules are necessary, because just to standardize the naming of the living organisms. So such kind of process is known as nomenclature. So naming of organisms according to the rules given by the ICBN or ICZN, this process is known as nomenclature. Okay, so this nomenclature is the process of naming organisms based on the agreed principles and criteria provided by the ICBN. So there are certain rules and principles each and every scientist has to follow these principles and criteria. Okay, so first there is a one main important organization that is known as ICBN, another is ICZN. So ICBN stands for the International Council of Botanical Nomenclature. It means this ICBN is going to consider only the plants. Okay, So the plants comes under the botany. Okay, botany. So if you find in if you discover a new plant, okay, new plant, you have to follow the rules given by the ICBN, because it is the plant comes under the botany. So and next is, if you find or if you discover a new organism, okay, new animal, so it comes under the zoology. Okay, hence the International Council of Zoological Nomenclature is used. The rules given by the International Council of Zoological Nomenclature, you have to follow those rules in order to give the name for the particular animal. Okay, so next, the scientific names. These scientific names ensures only one name is given to the one particular organism, so that there is no confusion. So if you give the particular name to one organism, if another person discovers the another organism, if you use the same name which is given by you, in that case, the two organisms has a single name. So in that case, it creates a lot of confusion about among them. So it is going to ensure, the scientific names are going to ensure that only one particular name is given to the particular organism. Okay, one scientific name should not be given to two organisms. So this is the main aim for the scientific names. So it enables the people to describe any organism from any part of the world based only on the scientific names, whether it may be India, whether it may be America, Japan or China, whatever it may be. So the scientific name is only one thing given to the only one name given to the one organism, not more than one organism. So this is the main importance of the scientific name, so that it is very much easier and convenient to identify the organisms based on the scientific names. Okay, it ensures one given name to any organism has not been used for other organisms. So biologists, so in order to give the scientific names, biologists are going to follow the universal accepted principles to provide the names to the known organisms. So if you discover a new plant or new animal, you have to follow these scientific names. Okay, each name has two components. So what are the two components? Those two components are known as, one main important thing is a generic name, another is a specific name. So these are the two components which is present in the particular organism. So hence you can call it as a generic name and specific epithet. So here you can see the two names are given. Two means binomial means name. So binomial means the two names are given. So this is known as binomial. So nomenclature means giving name to the particular organism. So hence together we can call it as binomial means two, bi means two, nomial means name, nomenclature means the process of giving name. We can call it as a binomial nomenclature. It is a process of giving name to the organisms which containing the generic name and specific epithet. Okay. So binomial nomenclature, the name of the organism that suggests the generic name and specific epithet. For example, let us take the example of the mango. So the mango scientific name is Mangifera indica. If you see here, the two names are there for the mango. First one is the Mangifera and second is the indica. So the Mangifera is the generic name and indica is the specific epithet. So hence it is a binomial nomenclature. Okay. So the system has given by the Carolus Linnaeus. The scientist is given the binomial nomenclature, so that each and every organism has the two names. One is a generic name, another is a specific epithet. Okay. And next, the universal rules for the nomenclature. So for example, if you discover a new organism, you have to follow these all rules in order to name the organism. So first is the biological names are given generally in the Latin and written in italics. So it is a Latin language, you have to given in the Latin language and written in the italics. So we know that italic, bold and so on. So you have to write in the italics. So they are Latinized or derived from the Latin irrespective of their origin. Whether it may be discovered in India, whether it may be discovered in America or whatever it may be, you have to derive the names based on the Latin language in irrespective of their origin. Okay, origin means where it has been found or where it is identified. So the first word is in a biological name represents the genus. Okay, genus, and while the second one component denotes the specific epithet. So in the previous we have seen the Mangifera indica. Okay, So it's a genus name, and next is a specific epithet, or generic name and specific epithet. Okay. So both the words in the biological name, and when handwritten, if you want to write the word with a handwritten word, so generally these are separated and underlined. It means you have to write it in separate way. The two names should be separated, and they have to be underlined. You have to underline the words. Or if it is printed in italics, so to indicate their Latin origin. Okay, you have to, if you want to type, so in the computer or in the typing machine, it should be in the italics. Okay. So the first word denoting the genus starts with a capital letter, and while the specific epithet starts with a small letter. So let us have the example. So in the Mangifera indica, so the Mangifera is a generic name and indica is a specific epithet. So if you see here, the M is starting letter, it is written in the capital letter. So in the Mangifera, the M is the capital, it is a starting letter. Why? Because it is starting letter. And indica, it is I is the starting letter. It doesn't have to be a capital letter. Everything indica complete word in the specific name should be smaller. Okay. So it can be illustrated with the example, that is Mangifera indica. Okay. And next, the author name has to be given in the end of the biological name abbreviated form. So for example, if you identify a organism, or if you discover a organism, so your name should be here. Okay, in the place of Linnaeus, your name should be there. Okay, Mangifera indica and your name. So in this way you have to write it. Okay. And next, it indicates that this is the species was the first described by the Linnaeus. It means the Linnaeus was discovered the first Mangifera indica. Okay. So by this way, in this way, we have given the example Mangifera indica LINN. It means LINN refers to the Linnaeus. Okay. So the next is the classification. So what is classification? What is the importance of the classification in the studying of organisms? For example, let us consider I give you 10 long red chalk pieces. Okay. And 10 long small short red chalk pieces, and 10 green long chalk pieces, and 10 um, green short chalk pieces. So and next is the 10 uh,10 blue long chalk pieces and 10 blue short chalk pieces. Okay. So how do you going to classify? If I ask you to separate it based upon their color and length, how do you do that? First of all, you are going to pick up the colors. Okay. First, all red. Okay. 10 plus 10 red. Okay. It contains long and short. So next, green. Okay. 10 plus 10 green, and so on. Okay. Long and short. So by this way, you are going to separate it based upon the color. Again, you are going to separate based on their length, whether it may be long or short. So by this way, if you follow this procedure, the classification of the chalk pieces along with their length and the size will be more easier. Okay. So the same process is used in the classification. This classification is a device. It is used to study the organisms conveniently by the classifying them into groups. So if you don't classify the organisms into groups, it creates a lot of confusion in studying the organisms. It is not at all possible to study all organisms if you don't classify them. Okay, hence the classification is more important to study the organisms. So this classification is nothing but the grouping of organisms into convenient categories based on the easily observable characteristics or characters. So example, if you see the animals which has the ears and hairs on their body is placed in one category, and the plants which are not movable and the plants which are green in color, they have placed in one category, and so on. So easily you can identify the organisms like animals and plants. Easily you can identify it. Animals can walk, animals can move from one place to another place, while the plants cannot move. So based upon the locomotion and movement from one place to another place, you can classify it. Okay, next in the animals also you can classify again based upon the birth of the individuals or the progeny. If the animals giving directly young ones, they are known as mammals. Okay, they are known as mammals. And if the animals are laying eggs, they are known as oviparous or birds. Okay, so eggs. Okay, so if they place the eggs, they are considered placed into the birds, and so on. So based upon these characteristics, they have been placed into different groups. Okay, so not only that, you can take in different characteristics, like whether it may be years, whether it may be hairs, or whether it may be mode of reproduction, and so on. These all are the different characteristics. You can identify, you can classify them. Okay. So next is the taxa. It is a scientific term used to categorize the organisms at different levels. So those different levels, like animals, in the animals, mammary glands, or in the mammals and dogs, and so on. So the tags at different levels in among the animals, you are going to take certain characteristics to classify them. So this is known as taxa. Okay. So next, the main important term is the taxonomy. So taxonomy means the classification of living organisms based upon the categories into different taxa. Okay, again, you are going to differentiate into different taxa. So in the taxonomy, different aspects of the living organisms are taken into consideration for the modern taxonomic studies. So example, external and internal structures, the structure of the cell. Okay, next, developing process, ecological information of the organism, and so on. So these all are the different considerations taken in the organisms to separate it into different taxa. Okay, so this process is known as taxonomy. So the characterization, identification, classification, and nomenclature of the process are the basics to the taxonomy. So these all are the different aspects, so that we can take the help of these aspects to classify the organisms into different basic process known as taxonomy. Okay, so the use of various organisms for the living and source of the basic needs, the like food, clothing, shelter, and so on. These are the basic needs in the earlier days of the human beings, the earliest classification. Okay, and next is the most important thing is the systematics. Okay, the systematics, systema, it is a systematic arrangement. It is taken from the Latin. So the study and the systematic arrangement of different kinds of organisms according to their diversity and relations among them. So that is known as systematics. How the organism is related to the environment, how it is going to relate to other organisms, how they are interacting. So that is known as systematics. So we can use the systematics to arrange into different kinds of the organisms. Okay. So the Linnaeus used the Systema Naturae as the title of the publication. It means he published, and his publication is used the word that is known as Systema Naturae. Okay. So the scope of systematics was later enlarged to include the identification and nomenclature and classification. Okay. So the systematics takes into account of evolutionary relationships between the organisms. Evolutionary means the changes in the DNA that lead to the evolution of the organisms. Okay, that is known as evolution. Evolutionary relationship means the organisms which has been came from the same ancestors. Okay, the sharing of the some futures which is came from the ancestors, that is known as evolutionary relationships. Okay, and I hope this lecture is helpful to you, and you can subscribe to our channel. And if you subscribe to our channel, it gives us some support to make such kind of educational content. And if you like the video, click on the like button, share the video and comment. Your comments are most important to us, so that with the help of your comments we can increase the quality of the content, and let us know how the video is and what are the improvements are needed and what are the benefit good aspects of this, and so on. Okay, and we will discuss the next topic in the next lecture. Okay.